Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. I am Attorney Marvin Davis of the Davis Bozeman Law Firm. The family of Eric E.J. Sheppard has retained our law office to represent him. Currently, Mr. Sheppard is in hiding, in fear for his life, in fear for his safety, afraid both of the threats that he has received from what we believe are the real terrorists, as well as him being labeled armed and dangerous. And so we are here as a law firm with other members of the legal community, as well as other members of the community, to speak directly to Eric and let him know that he has legal representation and community support, and that we will protect him. We will ensure that his due process is adhered to, and that he will be represented with all the power, will, and might that we have as a law firm and as a legal community. And so there are a number of organizations that are here that want to speak directly to Eric, to encourage him and to make sure that he understands that he has the community support that he needs in order to start the process of turning himself in and then going through the process, the legal process. With that, I first want to introduce from the Nation of Islam, Minister Sharif. Minister Sharif is the Southeastern Regional Representative of the Nation of Islam and has come here today with members of the Nation of Islam to make very clear that his security, his safety is paramount and will not be forsaken, and that they will ensure that he is safe. We know that there have been a number, unfortunately, of African American men who have died at the hands of police in transport, that have died in custody, and they're here to ensure that that is not the case with Eric Sheppard. And so with that, I would introduce Minister Sharif.
I want Brother Eric to know that the Nation of Islam stands with him and support him. And we want the community to know that we stand with Brother Eric. And we love our brother. So we ask him, brother, to do the right thing. We stand with him. We love him. Jesus.
We have also, obviously this incident stems from Valdosta, and Kendrick Johnson's case has been one of the things that Eric has worked on diligently in supporting that family. And so the spokesperson for Kendrick Johnson's family, Marcus Coleman from Saving Ourselves.
Good afternoon. First, I want to say we stand in solidarity with Baltimore, and countless cities around the country, and our global comrades in the seek for justice. Black lives matter. I want to make it understood on why it's necessary for the Davis & Bozeman law firm to represent Brother Eric. Having been on the ground in Valdosta, the climate down there has a serious racial undertone. After the demonstration that Brother Eric was responsible for, there was a counter demonstration. It was called Flags Over Valdosta, Flags Over Valdosta State. It was at least 500 people that stormed Valdosta. But what people don't know is that several members of the Ku Klux Klan were also involved in that rally. What people don't know is that there were several vigilantes in that rally that were actually doing a manhunt for Brother Eric. So we want to make sure, as what's been reiterated over and over again, that his safety is first and foremost. On behalf of the Johnson family, I'll mention this. At 3 o'clock today, the Johnson family are meeting with Chief Childress. They are meeting with Chief Childress because we are returning to Valdosta on May 23rd at 8 a.m. for a commemoration, celebration for Kendrick Johnson. So for all of the soldiers across the country, continue to unite, continue to unite, continue to unite in a safe transition for Brother Eric. Thank you.
From the Malcolm X grassroots movement, Sister Angie.
grassroots movement. We want Eric to know that we support you, we are here for you, and we are in this for the long haul.
Brother Daruba bin Wahad from the National Coalition to Combat Police Terrorism.
First of all, I would like the media to know that the National Coalition to Combat Police Terrorism is 100% behind this law firm and behind this brother. And that we will try to mobilize people in the community around this case, because the issue in this case is the validity and the moral value of Americanism and jingoism and nationalism. The white mob that came after this brother were talking about making the burning of the flag a crime. Already today, we know from Facebook, the recent Facebook arrest, that just to think about our reality is not criminal. So we support the brother. We ask that he realize that he has the support of the community. And on May 11th, we will be holding a town hall meeting right here in Atlanta to talk about decentralization of police and public safety, to talk about legislation to curb police violence and terrorism in this country, and also to talk about how do we deal with the police unions in the state of Georgia. So again, our solidarity is with this brother and with all of the people who are in the streets all across this country protesting police brutality, police terrorism, and white supremacy. We stand in solidarity with you, and we want you to know on May 11th, we have a town hall meeting right here in Atlanta to address those issues.
From the National Action Network, Sister Helen.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the National Action Network, the Atlanta chapter, we want to let the family know that we support and we stand behind David Bozeman Law Firm, as well as Brother Eric. Again, the Atlanta chapter of the National Action Network, we support you 100%.
Doesn't work.
Brother Kananji from FTP Movement.
Just want to say that we definitely support Brother Eric Sheppard 150%. We think that his freedom of speech was caught. We think that the fact that he was brave enough to say what is on many African brothers and sisters around this country, to say exactly what's on their mind, we salute that. And we think that he has a right to his First Amendment. And we also believe that no one should feel threatened, to speak what is on their mind. And we stand by him, and FTP movement is with you.
Good afternoon. I'm a 17th Soldier, free range activist and supporter of Eric Sheppard. The main thing that I would like to understand and let the world know that Eric Sheppard is a valuable young man. He's a straight A student. He has a double major in what he's studying in school right now. He's pretty much a coach and a mentor, and what you're trying to paint him as some sort of domestic terrorist and vigilante is not what he is. He's a valued asset to our community here in Atlanta, as well as my pastor, and I appreciate if we can get the right image presented for him so everyone knows that he's not armed and dangerous. He's a friend, a family member, someone's son, someone's grandson, and we'd like him returned safely.
Are there any other organizations that are present that stand in solidarity with Eric and would like to make sure that he is aware of the support from the Black Law Students Association, Ms. Tatiana Lima?
On behalf of the Black Law Student Association, to Eric and his family, we stand and support your right to speak out against injustice, and we also commit to conducting any legal research that's necessary to help with your legal representation.
Any other organization present that would like to speak in solidarity to let Mr. Sheppard know that, let Eric know that we're here? With that, I just want to make it clear, Eric, you know what this means. We're hopeful that you were able to get safely to our law firm so that we can get you turned in safely. That is our objective. That is our sole objective, is that you are able to return here safely, that you are able to have your day in court, and that you see you will be surrounded and protected by a community of people who believe in your right of freedom of speech, as well as your right to due process. With that, we'll take any questions.
Do you guys have any idea where he is right now?
No idea at all.
Are his parents here?
No, they're not. And I will make it very clear, family members are very afraid for their own safety. There have been a number of death threats that have come across Facebook, and so the family is concerned for their own safety. So we can only imagine what this 21-year-old young man is feeling and experiencing. A student, as Brother 17 Soldier stated, he was coaching, mentoring, a double major in psychology and African American studies. He's a student activist, still learning and growing as a young person. And that should not be criminalized. And that is, I believe, the position of most of the activists that are present here and why we have taken up this representation.
Do you know if he's had contact with family members or anybody?
Family members have not had any contact with him. That's why this is so important, that this message go out to him wherever he is in the world so that he knows that he will be protected. The concern is clearly, because you are in the custody of law enforcement does not mean that you're safe. In fact, being in the custody of law enforcement for many African American men has resulted in their injury or death. And so with that as a backdrop, this is what this brother is having to process and think through as he makes a decision. Some may say that he's being unlawful right now, but what's unlawful is what we see happening to Freddie Gray, to Walter Scott, to all of these African American men who, during a police encounter, end up dead. And that's the major concern. When he was labeled armed and dangerous, that turned the complete tide of him just being able to walk in with his mother and father holding his hand. He's been labeled, instead of a student activist, he has now been labeled armed and dangerous, which makes his life, puts his life in jeopardy.
Are police investigating the death threats to both him and the family?
We are reporting. It's our intention to gather as much of that information as possible and provide it. I was contacted through our Davis Bozeman Law Facebook page, a young lady who reported it to Valdosta Police Department. She said she didn't receive any feedback. She heard herself some white students planning on physically assaulting him. She communicated that. She called the police. And as of now, we don't know what the extent of that investigation is. Instead, we know that they have done door-to-door searches looking for a student who, again, voiced his First Amendment right.
Do you think it's the right thing for him to turn himself in?
I don't know. It's only right if it's safe. That's the reality. It can only be right if it's safe. I would not ask anyone to turn themselves over into a situation where their life can be taken, where they can be seriously injured. And so, unfortunately, the climate has been set, not by us. We're here because we're trying to counterbalance a climate that says he should be taken in any way possible. And I have yet to see a credible threat that he has made that would make him armed and dangerous. He is in the category of an armed robber. He is in the category of a murderer. He's in the category of a violent criminal. And even the charge of having a weapon in the school zone is not a violent crime. Merely having a weapon, if that was a crime, then a lot of us would be in trouble.
You mentioned the weapon at school, and before that, there have been several mentions of freedom of speech, but that's not what the arrest warrant is for.
Well, what the arrest warrant reads is that allegedly he has this firearm. But the underlying factor that we won't ignore, even though there are others that may, the underlying factor that makes Eric such a threat is his protest. That's why he was all over national media because of the protest. And so the weapons in the gun, as far as we're concerned, that's an opportunity, a way to try to remove him from the street. And that is what this community, that's what this law firm is standing firmly against.
So you don't feel like that gun charge is a legitimate charge?
We don't know. We haven't been presented with any evidence. But what we do know is that the targeting of Eric began after he exercised his First Amendment right. That's when the vigilantes began to target him. That's when he began to have these increased encounters with law enforcement. And so we're very clear that his protest is what prompted the interest of law enforcement in him to begin with. And so, again, we find it strange that the police interact with him and he's not arrested. But then some hours later, they find a book bag that they attribute to him. They find a gun that they attribute to him after they've already met with him and spoken with him. Again, we are students of history, and we know that historically, unfortunately, too many African-American men have ended up in jail when they in fact were innocent. And so we're not going to stand here and say that the gun or the bag was Eric's. We want the opportunity for them to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt in a court of law.
The police chief has told me that, and I'm not sure if he said that he has met with you or plans to meet with you and Eric's parents and get with the DA about possibly making it a little easier, or at least in his mind, to turn himself in, maybe not as quite as high a bond or something like that. Can you explain?
I would look forward to meeting with anyone of authority in Valdosta who has the power to help facilitate this in a way that the community and Eric feels as though it's safe. Right now, what he's being asked to do is to turn himself in without a bond, to go to a jail where in a community that has been very clear that he is at the very least hated, and that his life, many of the folks in that community, some of the folks, I would say, have made some threats. And so to put himself in that jail and not amongst the community, again, we don't see how that's a safe scenario. So our hope is that the powers that be in Valdosta who have the authority to set a bond, and what we would envision is a bond being set that he could sign himself. He has no criminal record, no criminal history. He was a student, and hopefully will continue to be a student, where he can be escorted into the jail, fingerprinted, and then these fine brothers and sisters from the Nation of Islam be able to escort him back to a safe location. We do not intend on allowing him to be escorted by anyone but members of this community. That's what the commitment is here, is that we will know his whereabouts throughout this process, and he won't just disappear for any period of time without one of us being able to see him and being able to ensure his safety. That's why this is so critical.
Are you able to put into words what his parents are going through right now?
His parents are being tormented. They are, as any parent, and we represent families all the time, myself and Attorney Bozeman, where we're standing with parents who have lost their loved one, and their loved one has been taken from them. And there is no pain like a mother having their son taken from them. And we've seen it time and time again. And so what's running through the mind of his mother is that they have labeled my baby, my child, armed and dangerous. Yet he has threatened no one. He has assaulted no one. But we have this ongoing pattern of seeing our young people assaulted, threatened, categorized as thugs. We see all of that playing out. And so this mother is extremely concerned and being tormented by the fact that she does not have her son in a safe place. And that's what's most alarming.
So much of this from the beginning into where we are right now is played out on social media. I mean, from that first Friday, that video that went viral, the lady's taking his flag. And now I think we're in a situation